If your jaw is weak, your face is recessed, or you just don't look as sharp as you should, then this video is for you. It's not just your genetics, your diet, but actually the way you're breathing right now. And you may have been breathing wrong your entire life. Most guys in this space talk about mewing. And yes, mewing is real, but it's only one piece of a much bigger problem. Because the root cause is your breathing. When you mouth breathe, you overbreathe. You exhale too much CO2, and CO2 is not a waste gas. It is a trigger that makes your red blood cells release oxygen to your tissues. Without CO2, no oxygen is delivered. Your mitochondria, the engine factories of every cell, needs oxygen in order to produce energy. And this is why mouth breathers tend to be associated with being dumber, having more brain fog, low energy, even acne.
Mouth breather? Yeah, a dumb person. A knucklehead.
I'm not gonna tell you this was easy to figure out, but once I understood that breathing less can actually be healthy for you, since you increase your CO2 levels, therefore you can deliver more oxygen to your cells, I started to notice many benefits like better jaw structure, improved breathing control, more mindfulness, and even more energy through the day. Before we get into the exercises and breath hunger protocols to increase your CO2 levels, to have more oxygen delivered to your cells and have better mitochondrial function, let's get into the root cause on how overbreathing is destroying your facial structure and making you less attractive. As you can see, this is a normal boy, right? He's 10 years old in this photo right here. And this boy's family got a hamster. He got a hamster, man, and they love the hamster, of course. But this boy started to get his nose clogged. He became sick. He could not breathe anymore through his nose, and that's when they found out he was allergic to his hamster. He had allergies to the hamster, man. But they didn't get rid of it because they love the hamster. And just like that, as you can see, the development of this boy. In this photo is 17, okay, so 7 years later, you can see his jawline went from this to this. So he developed a recessed jawline. This is what people call a recessed jawline. As you can see, his nose is right here, and his jawline is right here, man. A good jawline is when your nose is right here and your jawline is right here too. That's the number one characteristic of being attractive, man. A man can be ugly, they can have acne and everything, but if he has a sharp jawline, there will still be girls who like him because he just looks masculine. He has a sharp jawline. Any model has a sharp jawline, man. And just like that, this is the difference between the warrior skull. Right here, you can see his nose is pretty much at the same length of right here is the top of his eyebrows. So you can see it's aligned and pretty close to the nose. But then here, the wimp skull, as you can see, the nose is so much further, and his jawline is just recessed. He even has this thing under his chin right here, man. He doesn't look good at all. Okay, it doesn't look good, man. Which one would you rather be, right? This or this? This or this? And just like that, this is the development that this boy developed here through breathing through his mouth because he could not breathe through his nose because of the allergies of the hamster. And this is what we see, man. This is the normal skull that anyone should have is the warrior skull. Right here, just like this. You look at this man, he's attractive. Maybe he's not even attractive, but he has that dominance, the masculinity, just because of his skull. And this is the normal skull. Like a person nowadays has a skull like this, while our ancestors have skulls like this. And you even see nowadays people are always removing their wisdom tooth, which is very unhealthy for you. You should not do it because your body would not have two teeth and develop the way it does for no reason, okay? So when you're removing wisdom tooth, you're literally messing up your nervous system. And that's why people then get headaches, they feel nauseous all the time after taking the wisdom tooth. As you can see, there's pretty enough space here to develop all the teeth and they're straight. While in these modern day skulls, you can see the teeth can't even fit in properly, the wisdom tooth cannot grow, then you have to remove it, and you have crooked teeth everywhere. Just like that, it has to do with a lot of things, especially the way we breathe, man. And over here, more examples of how like a normal skull should look like. And right here, man, and right here, a good-looking skull, man. As you can see, similar to this. And then you have the modern day man, like this. Look at this skull, bro. What is this, bro? And just like that, you probably can look in the mirror right now and see which type of person are you, man. Are you more in this category right here or this one? And perhaps you even have recessed jawline like this man right here. Like, look at this. A recessed jawline here. recessed jawline. And just like that, bad breathing equals bad jaw, which leads to lack of space for teeth, which leads to crooked teeth. For example, me, in my case, I don't have much crooked teeth. I have like one or two, a bit like switched up. One, I never used the, nothing to fix my teeth because I didn't really need it. But I always used to breathe from through my nose. While my brother, same genetics here, same genetics. That's my point. My brother, okay, similar genetics. He got his teeth all crooked and he doesn't have a sharp jawline as me, man. And that has to do with him breathing through his mouth. There can be many other factors, but a big one is breathing. And just like that, we can see that through these years, man, we have been over breathing. Okay, this is a graph on hyperventilation, so breathing too much. So just like that, you need to understand that your body uses oxygen and what you're eating to make water in the body. This is metabolic water and CO2. And just like that, you then breathe out CO2. Okay, so CO2, which you most likely learned in school, oh, it's useless. We're breathing it out for a reason. If it was so useless, then why does the mitochondria create it? Why does it create CO2? Because your oxygen is going to get held to hemoglobin. Hemoglobin is this thing in your blood which delivers the oxygen to the cells. Okay, but here's the thing, without CO2, the oxygen in the hemoglobin will not be released and therefore will just be attached to the hemoglobin and basically be useless. And this leads to hypoxia, which is basically you having low oxygen in the cells because, yes, it is inside your body, but it's not being delivered to the cells. It's just stuck in the hemoglobin. And hemoglobin is like girls, okay? And you have the boys, you have the oxygen and you have the carbon dioxide and they are competing for the hemoglobin. If there's no competition, if there's no CO2, then why is the oxygen going to get out of the hemoglobin? There's no CO2, there's no competition. So I'm going to stick with this girl right here. But when there's competition, when the CO2 is going there to get the hemoglobin, the oxygen gets out of the hemoglobin and goes to the cells. And this is why if you breathe too much oxygen, you decrease the CO2, therefore there's no competition, therefore the oxygen stays in the hemoglobin, therefore you do not release oxygen to the cells, and therefore your breathing is useless there because your oxygen is not even being delivered. And so you need to understand low CO2 levels equals not delivering enough oxygen to your cells, therefore you can't produce much energy because that's what your mitochondria does. It produces energy, man, and you need oxygen to produce energy. If you stop breathing for like 30 minutes, 20 minutes, you die because of lack of oxygen. You can't produce energy. That's what happens. And so just like that, overbreathing equals expelling too much CO2 while also breathing a lot of oxygen, therefore you don't produce as much CO2, which leads to hypoxia, low oxygen in the cells. And so, of course, mitochondria produces energy, man. Mitochondria is the number one thing for health, the number one thing, man. And if you want to achieve anything like clear skin, good digestion, reading well, not having brain fog, you don't read a book and then you forget what you just read and you have to read 5 times. If you want to operate like a beast in anything you do, man, like Usain Bolt, you gotta have a good mitochondria. A good mitochondria for good energy production, for good energy efficiency. Just like that, that's what we're gonna fix today. And breathing has a lot to do with it. So CO2 and oxygen fight for the hemoglobin, and without CO2, the oxygen just holds onto the hemoglobin and doesn't release. As we went over, increasing CO2 levels to the healthy levels lowers pH in the body. And if it's too high, the CO2 levels, it can lead to acidosis, okay? This is like the concern that can happen, but it's rare. And increasing CO2 levels in the body lowers pH. So if you ever see anybody telling you to eat alkaline diet, have a high pH, maybe a Wim Hof method, breathing method to become alkaline. All those things, we're gonna go through them in a second. It's not actually good for you because, as you can see, your body literally lowers the pH. It has a system to lower the pH, man, by increasing CO2, which is very healthy for you. And so, essentially, if you want to go more in depth on this, you can study the Bohr effect, where if your CO2 levels go up, it lowers your pH, it reduces the the affinity for CO2, for O2, for oxygen, and leads to the oxygen be released, as we went over, okay? This is more advanced stuff, man. I'm just trying to explain you what it truly matters. And so, low oxygen levels causes high CO2 levels, okay? And this is the Haldane effect, which is essentially a bit of the opposite So if you want to go more in depth and study these things, you can study the Bohr effect and the Haldane effect, which I have links below for more in depth, like scientific guides if you want to go through them. But here I'm really focusing on the implementation. And so essentially, you need to understand that high CO2 levels are actually healthy for you because it allows you to get the oxygen delivered to your cells. And just like that, overbreathing leads to hypocapnia, which is referred to a low level of carbon dioxide in your blood and often caused by rapid or deep breathing, hyperventilation. And just like that, hypocapnia is having low carbon dioxide in your blood, and hypoxia refers to low levels of oxygen in your tissues or cells or body. So essentially, if you have hypocapnia, which is low levels of carbon dioxide in the blood, you will have hypoxia, which is low levels of oxygen in the tissues. And just like that, this leads to a lot of complex stuff in the body, in the mitochondria, where electrons and protons aren't able to go through all the complex and reach the right complex, which I believe are five inside the cells, the mitochondria, and it causes free radicals to create and then attacks cells. Free radicals is those things where you see online people always talking about, oh, you gotta eat your antioxidants to get rid of this. That's why they talk about antioxidants in the food, is to get rid of free radicals. And just like that, if you're having any of these issues, hypocapnia, hypoxia, you're gonna be to free radicals, man. And this right here is the cause of many issues like gut issues, acne. It can be from this, definitely, because your cells should be like this, but guess what? They're being attacked by free radicals, and this causes oxidative stress, which doesn't allow your cells to heal, and therefore you have bad skin, bad guts, everything. Your mitochondria is essentially the foundation to health, man. And so just like that, CO2 is also a vasodilator, so it makes the blood flow better. That's why we associate mouth breathers with being dumb. You see a mouth breather, they're always dumb. Like in the movies, they're dumb, they're breathing through the mouth. Because this causes blood flow. If you have high CO2, it causes blood flow to flow best, especially to the brain, okay? And so just like that, if you breathe through your mouth, you're over breathing, you have low CO2 levels, it causes you to be dumber, man. And just like that, also purple hands and purple feet. These can be caused by blood issues, blood flow issues, which if you improve your breathing, it can disappear, man. And also the parasympathetic and a sympathetic state. So essentially rest and digest and fight or flight. What we know about fight or flight, that it's gonna lead to a lot of stress, a lot of acne, not functioning properly, being tired all the time. If you're in fight or flight all the time, fight or flight can be healthy, man. If you are in here once in a while to then increase your capability in exercise or driving, you need to be a bit, of course it's good for you, but being in this state all the time, it's not good. And if you're breathing fast, you are most likely causing you to have this state right here. But if you're breathing slow, you're gonna be to this state. And the same, it goes hand in hand. If you're in this state, you will breathe fast. If you're if you're breathing fast, you will be to fight or flight. It goes hand in hand, okay? Same thing with rest and digest. And so also, if you have high alkaline levels in the body, high pH levels, your body will use calcium and magnesium to decrease the pH level. And so just like that, due to low carbon dioxide, you have high alkalinity, and this leads to you losing essential minerals like calcium and magnesium, man. And just like that, man, I'm telling you all of this just for you to understand this key sentence here, this key formula. Higher CO2 levels equals breathing less, equals good mitochondria, equals more energy efficiency. This is what I'm talking about, man. This is why I'm bringing up all these studies, which I'm not the scientist here, man. I'm just bringing you to this awareness so you understand this formula here. And the key professor that has learned about this himself, like he was essentially the founder of realizing this, that breathing less is healthy, is this doctor right here, Dr. Konstantin Buteyko. So you can study him, man. If you want to understand more the science behind this, go study him because he certainly knows more about the science stuff specifically than me. And here are some studies from him, okay? Like he did this on patients that were severely ill, man. They had asthma, bronchiolitis problems, hyperventilation, and he forced them to. They were essentially just laying in bed, like they could never do anything. They were just severely ill. They weren't healthy, and so he made them do exercises of breathing less because he noticed that healthy people breathe less. Okay, so let's force these people that are healthy to breathe less. Let's do breath hunger exercises. And just like that, a lot of them got healed. Success rate of 95%, man. And also with 52 children, like they were severely healed, pneumonia, chronic cough, blocked nose, and many issues using this method that I'm gonna walk you through that was created by Buteco right here, man. And also, by doing this exercise every single day, you will decrease your rest heart, which is amazing, okay? People take months, years to decrease their rest rate through cardio, through running all day. Just like that, you can decrease it by these intense levels, like as you can see, a 52, 55 on average to a 45 in just 2 weeks, man, of your rest heart. So you need to understand in the actionable step, okay, the implementation that I will go through doing the exercises, we'll measure this together. But a healthy CO2 tolerance slash control pause is 40 seconds. So essentially, in that implementation guide, we'll breathe together normally, and then we breathe out. We breathe out all the air, and we just have to hold until we get a sign of breathing. Okay, until we feel uncomfortable and we have to breathe, then we have to breathe, of course. And the normal breath, no like that means you failed, okay? This should involve no ego. And if you can hold for 40 seconds, which I doubt most people will not be able to do this, but the 40-second mark is the healthiest, man. It's like you're healthy, okay? 40 seconds, you're healthy. And so actionable steps right here, man, to, of course, take your health to the next level in terms of breathing is always to breathe through your nose. Never mouth breathing, man. Breathe through your nose and breathe through your diaphragm. You do not want to breathe through your chest, man. You want to have good posture and breathe through the diaphragm. Then avoid stress, like insane amount of stress where you're breathing super fast through the mouth. Of course, it's not going to be good. And most people, when they're angry, when they're yelling, they're not breathing through their nose, right? So just like that. And overeating, okay, leads to overbreathing too. So don't overeat. And also with leptin resistance, it's related. Like if you're overeating, and if you notice you're overeating, then go through the modules on leptin resistance because they can be the root cause there. And then exercise is great for you because you are getting that breath hunger, and therefore you feel the need to breathe more. And every time you feel the need to breathe more, like you feel the breath hunger, it means you just increase your CO2 tolerance. It's like going to the gym. You're eating failure, that means you got stronger. You build more muscle there. Just like that, you reach breath hunger, it's like reaching failure, you increase your CO2 tolerance. It's like 1 point in the game. And so just like that, let's go through something. If your chest moves when you breathe, okay, but breathe normally, like don't change anything, just breathe. If your chest is moving, that means you're breathing wrong. You should breathe through your diaphragm. That is the healthiest, man. And if you don't want to feel the pain of breath hunger, like it's gonna be uncomfortable, you exhale the air and then you feel that need to breathe more. If you don't want to feel this discomfort, then you can simply inhale less air. So if you're breathing normally, simply inhale less. Like if you're breathing, let's say 5 seconds, like inhale 5 seconds, breathe out 5 seconds. Simply do 3 seconds in, 5 seconds out. Okay? And this will not cause you that uncomfortable feeling. And this is what I recommend if you have any breathing issues, heart issues. You do not want to put yourself through extreme pain, man, like doing breath hunger, because it can also lead to heart attacks if you're not ready and prepared for this. You want to build up, man. You gotta start with light hair hunger to moderate, and then if you have no issues, any risks, you build up to hard, which is while you're walking, you do the exercise of breath hunger. While you're on a stairmaster or on a treadmill, you do this and you count how many steps you can do on a breath hunger. Like this is hard mode right here. Or while you're sparring in boxing, breathing always through your nose, man. And this is essentially what you're gonna do, man. Exhale needs to be longer than inhale, or you're going to be in a fight or flight too. Okay. If you're being chased by a tiger, are you breathing controlled or are you breathing like crazy? You probably are breathing like crazy. So if you're breathing like crazy all the time, then it shows that you're in fight or flight. Fight or flight is meant for when you're running from a tiger, man. So you're signaling your body that you're in a fight or flight if you're breathing incorrectly. And meditation is key, man. You gotta be conscious of your breathing, and yes, it can be hard. Like sometimes you just forget about it and you go back to breathing wrong. But bring it back to your conscious and breathe correctly again. This is the game of meditation. It's just forgetting, you drift to thoughts, and then you come back to presence. This is what you gotta do, man. And if you talk to an unhealthy person, like they don't care about their health, zombies in the Matrix, then you can tell they think a lot. They're constantly thinking all the time. A healthy person tends to think less. They are a Buddhist, not necessarily a Buddhist. They are like monks in the mountains meditating all day. Not necessarily, but their mind reflects that. And then if you are overtraining, a clear sign is your diaphragm is tense and your breathing muscles are fatigued and your control pulse goes down. So the breathing score, which we'll measure on the next module, the implementation, if that goes down, it's probably showing you're overtraining. And then the Wim Hof method, man. Should you do this? Is this healthy? Well, I used to think it was. I used to think it was the best, man. But because I used to feel euphoric after it. But the reason I felt euphoric was because I was putting myself in hyperventilation, taking the carbon dioxide out of my body, becoming alkaline, which in a way puts you in that fight or flight. Therefore, you feel crazy. And so I would not recommend this at all. I would not recommend unless it is, let's say, an extreme scenario where you do need to be in that fight or fight. Let's say you have some crazy competition where you have to do your maximum push-ups. Then I'm telling you, doing this can help you because every time I've hit a maximum push-up was when doing this. But at the same time, I've never tried doing the breath hungers and then doing the push-ups. So perhaps doing the breath hungers and maximizing that will actually get me more results than this right here. So I still have to try that personally. Okay, so in replace to this, you can do breath holds. Okay, breath holds are very good because it makes adaptations to improve mitochondria. It will do certain changes like spike IFH1, and that will lead to spiking hormone growth proteins, hormone growth hormones. A lot of people pay a lot to for these growth hormones like alpha signaling, and people take peptides and all this stuff. When literally with your breath, by doing breath holds, you can spike the same growth hormones naturally, man. This is why breath holds are great for you. Like doing some breath holds, holding for 1 minute, 1 minute and a half, and increasing that to 2 minutes. And it's a really good habit you can do before bed. Like I use the times I was most consistent when doing this was always before bed. I'd track on a clock, I'd put the time, and I'd try to do more than the day before. So you can do breath holds. And always do this in safety environments, never in the water, never while driving, never, never. Because you might pass out if you do this wrong. It's not like you're gonna die, but you might pass out. And if you're in the water, you will die. If you're driving, you will die. So be careful. And so just like we talked on the modules of clear skin mastery, how to actually fix your mitochondria for good and improve your redox so you can have clear skin, eat healthy foods, whole foods without getting brain fog, any of that stuff because you actually fix your mitochondria. You know how terrible EMF and blue light it is for you, man. And it is destroying your mitochondria. Literally, blue light has the same effect, activates the same system as it happens when you do breath holds. So it spikes the same hormone growth, which I mentioned, IFH1. And guess what? That hormone is released with an intention there because you lack oxygen. But guess what? If you're getting blue light, you're activating the same hormone, and you are literally with oxygen. You're not with lack of oxygen. Can't this cause problems? You're activating a system artificially, man. That's what's happening, and your body knows exactly what it does, man. Everything that happens in the body is in pure harmony. You get acne, you get brain fog in order to compensate with some other issue that's going on. You fix this issue, you no longer get the brain fog, man. It's a pure harmony here. Just like the C word, man. Your body creates that disease there with an intention of not allowing it to spread everywhere and you die, man. That's what happens. And so, of course, we gotta avoid this crap. We gotta avoid EMF. It was causing it still causes me because I live close to a big antenna of electricity, and I have acid reflux even when having the perfect meals, man. And it definitely can come from this because when I leave my house, I don't get it as much, man. And also food combinations, yes, it's not necessarily just the EMF and leaky gut also involved, of course. But here's what you need to understand: if you're already hypoxic, because you're in the wrong environment, you're living with EMF, blue light, not eating seasonally, not following your environment, essentially, man. Just putting artificial crap, just mis-signaling your body. Then doing these exercises can actually be a bad thing for you. It depends on your environment, man. So you always want to do this outside, okay? You want to do it outside because your body knows exactly what's going on because of the light. The light is giving you signal, is giving you information. And you can also do it in a dark room because it's natural, man. If it's dark time, if it's night, it's gonna be dark. So doing it in a dark room is okay. And so you gotta have good light environment. And I still haven't sorted this out fully, and I'll make you an update 100%. I'll make a video on doing the Wim Hof method and doing like max push-ups, doing sprints, and see what is my score. And then I'll do breath hunger, and I'll do the same exercise, same push-ups, like trying to beat my push-up record, sprinting record, and we'll see which one actually worked better here. Because I believe that the Wim Hof method can be used in some scenarios depending on your environment. And this is something I haven't sorted out fully, but I'm still studying, and I'll make this video on where is the Wim Hof method appropriate, and the hunger method also. Is it better for like performance overall in terms of, it is better of course because you are able to breathe better. And if you study athletes that do high intensity, they do these exercises too. They also do it. And a fun fact with the blue light, by the way, just so you understand how bad it can be. Look at UFC fighters. They are constantly getting injuries. They are constantly like Conor McGregor broke his foot. While you see the Thailand's dude who are always running outside, they barely get injured, right? They are able to hit their shin pads against the metal poles and not break it, man. It's crazy. Okay, now if you still mouth breathe, and you might think, oh, I don't mouth breathe. Guess what? At night you probably do. Okay, so I'm gonna play a clip just so you understand how terrible mouth breathing is, man. This is the writer of Oxygen Revolution. He made an experience of mouth breathing for 1 week, and this is his reaction. These are the side effects that he got. Okay.
The experiment was set up that it was 10 days of just mouth breathing. So silicone up the nose, mouth breathing, and then 10 days of nasal breathing. And we collected data the whole way through. We checked our blood pressure, and my blood pressure was just sky high within a couple hours until we went to sleep. Recorded myself snoring for the first time that I'm aware of. A few days later, I was snoring for 4 hours, and we had sleep apnea. We felt absolutely awful. 10 days, I didn't think anything seriously was going to happen. But I'll tell you, around the 8th or 9th day, we started questioning that prediction, because we were in seriously bad shape and really losing it. You know, I was just really fatigued. I got really antsy, and at the same time, I was extremely irritable. Like really short fuse over everything. I was questioning why we even did the experiment towards the end of it. I was just like, what am I doing here? I gotta like write a book about Lincoln or dogs or something. You know, it was tough stuff. And you think about all the people right now who are mouth breathing all the time, who have the same fatigue, who have this dry mouth, who are constantly getting cavities, who don't realize that their breathing plays such a huge part in their overall health.
So now that you know how terrible mouth breathing is, let's actually know how to fully fix this. So first of all, at night, you probably aren't aware, but if you track your sleep, you will see that you are snoring, you are mouth breathing. So you should use a mouth tape. Okay, what is mouth tape? Is you buy in the pharmacy, like, or at the normal store, convenience store, they have this. It's micropore tape. You use it for like band-aids, okay? So you just buy a piece of this. And this lasts you for years, man. This is so big. And you just every night cut a tiny bit like this, and you put on your mouth. And if you think, oh my god, I'm going to suffocate, I'm going to die. No, you can always just, and it opens, man. But just having this tiny bit of pressure forces you to breathe through your nose. And then if you gotta always watch out for mold, okay? In your room, watch out for mold. You do not want to be breathing any of these. This will make your nose clogged. And that's what we're going to talk about, is how to unclog your nose fully, because you should breathe as much through your nose until you literally cannot. If you have some nose issue, it's clogged, whatever, always breathe through your nose, man, because you probably can breathe like 10%. So yes, you can breathe through your nose. Maybe you gotta breathe more than the average person, but guess what? Breathe through your nose. Watch out for mold. This is a big thing. Watch out for it, man. And I have a full module on just how mold, like mold toxicity, how to fully get rid of it. And of course, do the actionable steps, the breathing techniques that I go through here, the meditations, and do these 10 minutes to 1 hour of CO2 resistance breathing. And if you have clogged nose, once again, let's sort this out. I explain in this guide here how to fully unclog it through a certain exercise. But still, an issue I was having was clogged nose after laying in bed. Like, I would lay in bed and just get clogged nose. I didn't know why, man. Because before I went to bed, I was good. As soon as I wait, I had stiff nose. I had to start teaching myself what the hell was going on. And so after a bunch of research and asking also my health coaches, I realized that, and talking to a bunch of people, I realized that I probably have well-controlled breathing pause and bad CO2 tolerance right here. So essentially, it's going to come down to everything we've talked, man. It's going to come down to doing the actionable steps here, fixing your CO2 tolerance, and breathing slowly, because the perfect breath is like 6 seconds in, 6 seconds out. And yes, it's not like I breathe through my mouth, but I definitely am not at the perfect breath of like 6 seconds in, 6 seconds out. And when you lay down, it's harder to breathe. So that's why it can clog your nose. And I've tried it, man. When I have my nose clogged after I'm in bed, I do the CO2 tolerance and my nose starts unclogging. Like I exhale all the air, I feel the breath hunger, and my nose starts unclogging on itself. It's so weird. But it does make sense because imagine your body's like, holy shit, we don't have air, we're gonna die. Unclog that goddamn nose, man. And it just works. And then breathe more slowly and tell me if it continues to be clogged. If it does, then text me on WhatsApp and we'll sort it out, because it can be from some bone structure issue, anything like that, and we gotta find other solutions. And open up a window, okay? Always make sure the air quality in your room is very good. Get rid of mold, man. All the mold, get rid of it. It might not be as visible as this. Like sometimes it's very tiny. You can't even see. Like these things right here, you can see, but it's mold. And make sure you don't have moldy room. Make sure your sheets are made of 100% natural materials, so silk or cotton. Make sure you're not allergic to anything in your room, like a plant or your animals, your pets. Make sure that's all sorted out. And then for air pollution, okay, you ask me, oh man, I live in a terrible country, the cities, so much air pollution, what do I do? You gotta get some air filtering plants, man. This is the natural filters, okay? And as you know, plants breathe carbon dioxide and expel oxygen, but at night they tend to do the opposite. They tend to consume oxygen and release carbon dioxide, but some of them still produce oxygen at night. And snake plant is one of them. And I'm not so sure if peace lilies are also, or spider plant, but they are very good for clearing the air, okay? So these are very good plants. Get a humidifier if you live in a humidity zone, especially if you live in countries like close to the Ecuador. They are gonna be high in humidity, man. You gotta be careful, especially in rainy season. So get a humidifier and sleep with your window open. You can get also a air conditioner that has like a tube going outside, and it comes air from it and expels outside. And of course, you might say, oh, there's air pollution outside. Then, I mean, the best solution is to go to a zone where there's this air pollution, okay? So you can go online, search up on the website, link below in another module on like how to have the best health location for your situation. Then you go there, you find where's the safest area for you. And the greatest books on everything we've talked are these two right here, okay? Advantage Buteco Breathing Exercises and the Oxygen Advanced right here, okay? These are the two greatest books when it comes down to understanding CO2 tolerance and improving your breathing health, okay? So if you can, go read them. Otherwise, just focus on the implementation, man. Implementation, this is all that matters. If you know the knowledge but don't apply, doesn't matter. So go apply it, man. Go through the actionable steps and go take action, man. In this guide, we're gonna be talking about the breathing techniques in order to take your health to the next level. Not only we are gonna learn the techniques, but also implement them. So be ready, okay? Get a pen and a paper to write down the techniques. So every day you look at the paper and you remember what techniques are, and you apply this on a day-to-day. Every morning, 10 minutes, 20 minutes every morning. That's the ideal to start, and bump it up to even 1 hour a day, because these exercises are generally life-changing. And if you can, do it outside like I am right now, man. Look at this. Nature is beautiful, and just like that, you will have fresh air to breathe, which makes it even better. The first thing we are going to be doing on this breathing guide is find your breathing score. This is the clear metric that we can use on a day-to-day or every week to see if we are improving or not, and to know at which level we are at. So right now we're gonna find at which level you're at with your breathing health, and we can set also clear milestones to achieve using this data right here. So what we're gonna do is a normal breath, like you always do, like just breathe with your nose and breathe out normally, like no issues. Don't think about it, just normal breath and exhale through your nose. And after that, what we're gonna do is hold the exhale. After the exhale, we just hold the breath, so no air in our lungs, we just hold it. And we cannot use willpower here, we cannot use ego, oh I need to hold longer. No, As soon as you get an involuntary sign to breathe again, like your stomach moves, you just feel like that air hungry, you know, you breathe in again. You just breathe normally again. No ego in this, no willpower. Do this properly, okay? So let's do this together. I'll count to 3 and then we'll do the breath. Breathe in, breathe out, and then I'm gonna put a clock here and you can see at which time you stop. So when you take the breath, look at the screen and see, okay, I stopped at 30 seconds, 10 seconds, 20 seconds, and write that down on a piece of paper, okay? So be ready. Let's do this. 1, 2, 3, breathe in, breathe out, timer over here. Okay, so without cheating, what number did you get? I got around 23. Okay, that was my first time I did this, and now I am at around 30 seconds. That's where I'm at right now. And so let's see what level are you at. So below 10 seconds, there is horrible American obese diabetic fat person about to die in the goddamn hospital. That's below 10 seconds. Then we have 10 to 20 seconds. That's bad. Then we have 20 to 30 seconds. That's good. 30 to 40, great. 40 plus, that's amazing athlete level, okay? So now that you have your score, your breathing level, let's set a clear timeline and set a clear, realistic goal. So if you're gonna be doing this 20 minutes a day, which is should be what you're gonna do after you watch this guide, then in 1 week we can set the goal of reaching the second level. I believe that is definitely possible. Perhaps in 2 weeks, but in 1 week to 2 weeks you can definitely reach the next level. So write that down on a piece of paper, the first time you did this and what seconds you got, and let's set that milestone there. Or you can also go into the community, which is 100 times better for that accountability. Go into the community and post the first time you did this, like right now, and how much time you got and at which level you're at. 10 to 20 seconds, like 15 seconds, that's what you got. And write it down and say your goal in there, and every week go there and update it, like add your new score every single week inside the community. And just like that, you will have that accountability. I'm telling everybody I gotta improve. If you just keep it yourself, you will most likely forget about doing this habit and you will start slacking off. So go right now in the community and post the time you got. Go take the action. Now let's move on to the next steps. So you might say, man, I breathe a lot because my nose gets clogged. I feel it's blocked. What do I do? So how do we fix this? You need to understand your nose is a straw. Your nose is like a drinking straw. What happens when you drink calm and slowly with a straw? It works, right? The water goes through, no problems. But if you drink super fast, you suck it like super fast, what happens? The straw crumbles and it doesn't work. The liquid doesn't go through. And it's the same thing with your nose. You have been breathing very fast and super intense with a high intensity, and just like that, now your nose is blocked. And you might say, no man, I'm not breathing with high intensity and fast. I'm breathing normally. What do you mean? Well, we have never been taught how to breathe, man. We have never been taught. At school, nobody taught us that. So just like that, you only know what you know. And so in your own perspective, it seems like you have been breathing the right way or calmly, but you haven't. That's why your nose got clogged, because you've been doing things wrong. And we're gonna fix that today, man. Because you have been over breathing for all these years, and just like that, we're gonna reverse that with these exercises we're gonna go through. And so, how to actually unblock the nose? You need to understand, to breathe, you must breathe calmly, slowly, and relaxed, with no intensity, like breathing fast as hell. Don't do that. Like having panic and just like having that panic attack and just breathing super fast. Don't do that. So, how do you actually unblock the nose? I actually am feeling my nose blocked right now. So you want to get your fingers, you want to pinch the nose, pinch it like this, pinch it, and you want to shake your head. So I do feel my nose a bit unclogged right now. It's not fully perfect, but you gotta do this until it's like fully clear, okay? And perhaps it won't be fully clear. Perhaps you have some issues with bone structure, you have some breathing issue, and generally doesn't work as good as it should. But you need to understand, you can breathe through your nose at least 10% of it. Like, at least out of 100% of your nose potential, like 10% works. Like, you know, you're breathing around 10%. So that's yeah, not the ideal, like I wanted 100%, but guess what? You can breathe 10%, so you can breathe through your nose. No excuse of saying, oh, I can't breathe through my nose, I gotta mouth breathe. That is some bullshit excuse. You can breathe through your nose, even if it's just like 10%. And so your number one goal should be to always breathe through your nose. Always breathe through your nose. And perhaps you gotta take more breaths than if you were to breathe through your mouth, but do it, because it's 100 times better. So always breathe through your nose, man. Even if it's clogged, breathe through your nose. Don't mouth breathe. And do the pinching and shaking method. Perhaps do it slower, or just, you know, do like a sneezing method. You get a whiff like this and you tissue yourself. Just like that, nose unclogged. So next, let's go to the perfect breathing. What is perfect breathing? So number one thing, always mewing. Okay, you always gotta be mewing. That's the natural tongue posture that will allow you to breathe properly. Okay, so always mewing. And the normal, like the healthiest breathing, the normal person should be breathing at 6 breaths per minute. Now the average in most people, it's 30 breaths per minute, man, which is ridiculous. It is ridiculous. That really shows how much we overbreathe. And so you should be doing 5 to 6 seconds inhales, 5 to 6 seconds exhale. And this will be 6 breaths per minute. That's the healthiest, that's what the perfect breathing pattern is. And you will start noticing, man, someone with a bad breath, they breathe loud and they are like, oh, and you can just hear noises through their goddamn nose. Those are people who don't know how to breathe. And you will notice, man, after you watch this guy, like there's so many people who don't know how to breathe. You will just start seeing it everywhere. And you will notice people with recessed jawlines and you'll ask them, do you breathe through your mouth? And they'll tell you, yes, I do. Someone who doesn't know how to breathe will breathe super loud, just like some fat guy who just climbed a bunch of stairs. And then level 2 is breathing through your stomach. So level 0, okay, let's say level negative, is a fat dude who just climbed a bunch of stairs and he's like then level 0 would be, you know, like most people breathe, like normal. And then level 1 is breathing through your chest. So like most people also breathe, they just breathe through their chest. But the level 2 is breathing through your stomach. So look at me. You're not scared, you're not insecure, like hiding your breath. No, you're okay with breathing like full breaths, and your stomach moves. Even when you're around girls and people with higher dominance, your stomach moves. You're not scared. That's some like level 2. Like it's an advanced level than most people. They just are shy away, breathing through their chest, like hiding. Breathing through your stomach is next level. And then advanced, like master level, which is what we're gonna get to, is basically not moving at all. Like your stomach doesn't move, your chest doesn't move, and you are just able to breathe so calm and no sound at all, like a warrior who's at war, hiding away from his enemies, like ready to attack, or like a lion who's like waiting for the prey and he's around doing a ambush and he cannot breathe loudly. That's the level we're gonna get to with this guide. You're not gonna be breathing like slowly and calm, nobody can hear you, out of insecurity, like, oh, you know, I can't breathe loud, and you, like you're talking to somebody, you're scared, so you kind of hold your breath, and like that's the worst thing, man. That's not what we want here. We want like that warrior, so calm you can't even see his body move when he's breathing. That's the level we're gonna get here. But now let's get into the actual exercises. So hair hunger, which is that feeling when you don't have hair inside of you, you feel like, oh my god, I'm dying, I need to breathe, and you give a panic attack. That's hair hunger, like you're hungry for hair. That's like hitting failure in the gym. So you know when you're doing exercise, you hit failure, you break the muscle, and now it grows, right? So in a way you felt weak in the moment, you felt like you're a loser, I can't lift the weight, I'm weak. But just like that, the feeling of being weak was the thing that got you strong, because now your muscle grew and you got stronger, right? It's the same thing with hair hunger. Hair hunger is such a freaking good feeling for you, and you'll notice after the exercise you feel good. Let's go through this exercise right now for you to get comfortable with hair hunger and reach failure and build muscle. Just like in the gym, building muscle, you build, it's like one rep in the breathing health space. It's the same thing with hitting failure here. What we're gonna do is breathe out through the nose, okay? And we're just gonna hold it until we feel a little bit of hair hunger. Not like extreme where your stomach is moving and you gotta breathe like panic attack. Not that extreme. We're gonna go till like 5 out of 10 intensity, 3 out of 10 intensity, and you can increase it to a 7 out of 10 intensity depending on how comfortable you are with this. And it is going to be uncomfortable. It generally is. But just like that, growth is in discomfort. You build muscle with discomfort, right? So it's the same thing here. So we want to breathe out through the nose. Okay, breathe out. And feel the air hunger. Okay, feel the air hunger. And as soon as you feel some air hunger to a level of 5 out of 10, you breathe in a tiny bit with your nose. Like, not all. Don't breathe all, just a tiny bit. And then you breathe out again and you hold it. And you feel a bit of a hair hunger again. And then you breathe a tiny bit again. So let's do this together. Let's do it together, like with me, okay? I'm gonna do the gestures with my hand and you follow along. So, breathe out through the nose. So you see what I'm talking about? At the end I panic a bit and I had to do that like quick breath, but that's not what we want. That shows that I over exaggerated. After you do this exercise, you should be able to just breathe normally with no issues. That's the goal here. If you have to take a panic breath like, then that means you went too much, and that's not what we want there. So you understood the exercise here, and you should be doing this 1 hour a day. Like, you will notice insane results. Now, of course, you're gonna build up to 1 hour a day, and it doesn't have to be just, you know, you sit down in the room, in the floor, and you do this for 1 hour in a row. No, it doesn't have to be like that. You can just go for your day on a walking, you know, you're in school, at work, and you just naturally do this breathing pattern right here. And you should be like 1 hour a day per day on breath hunger. And then really advanced level is doing this while walking, while running, on the treadmill, on a Stairmaster, which is really like extreme insane level, but it's where we want to get. It's like athlete level. Because even when you do exercise, you should be breathing through your nose. Yes, it's hard, and sometimes if it's like extreme exercise, you gotta breathe through your mouth, but the idea would always be through your nose. And don't do these exercises while in the water, while driving, because if you do this wrong, you can generally pass out. And if you're doing this in your room, it can be safe, okay? It won't be much of a problem, but in the water, you can literally die while doing this. So be careful if you pass out, of course. And just like that, what you can do is to do this on a treadmill. So while you're walking, you're doing this exercise, and you try to do 10 steps while in breath hunger. You try to get 10 steps while in breath hunger. And just like that, you then breathe in normally, breathe out. You don't go for panic breaths. And then you try to do 15 steps while you're in breath hunger. And it's like a cool video game to increase your resistance. And even when having sexual relationships, doing this exercise will allow you to last longer, man. Because you're in full control of your body, just like that. So if you can, try it out in there. Now let's get into another exercise. Okay, so what we want to do is simply this. Reach air hunger, okay? So, like, take all the air out of you. Reach breath hunger, and then do. And then breathe normally. Just like that. So go till failure, reach breath hunger, and then like, don't, after you reach breath hunger to a 7 out of 10 intensity, don't go, no, go for, and then breathe normally. The next breathing exercise will be on controlling anxiety. So we think that anxiety comes by getting anxiety thoughts like, oh, I don't know what will happen in the future, I'm scared. And then we start breathing faster and our heart rate goes faster. But what if it's the opposite way? What if we only got those thoughts because we started breathing faster? And so just like that, by controlling the breath, we can eliminate the anxiety thoughts. And this generally works because it's so much easier to control our breath than to control those anxiety thoughts. Like, it's so hard to control them. You try to shut them down. No, that's not true. That's not going to happen. It's so hard. But controlling your breath, that's easy. And so if you do this while you feel anxiety, you will eliminate that. So what if your anxiety thoughts came from the breath, came by you breathing faster? Because if you notice, a lot of times it is. And so what we can do to eliminate this is the psychological sigh, which is a breathing technique I'll tell you right now. So you want to breathe in, this is a really good way to calm down anxiety, or you can try to do the breath hunger breathing exercise that we went through a few minutes ago. And so this, just like that, that's how you take over anxiety. And so with it, we covered everything in terms of the actionable steps to take your breathing health to the next level. So let's do a quick recap. Number one, get your breathing score. That comes down to just breathing normally, in, out, and just see how much time you can go for until you get that uncomfortable sign of like breathe again, and you're able to breathe normally again. Like you don't go for the panic breath. No, you just breathe in normal. Okay, so now you have your breathing score. So once you have your breathing score, we now set a clear goal. Go comment that in the community, and let's start practicing on a day-to-day. Like after you wake up, 20 minutes every morning before you check your phone, do these breathing techniques, which is, once again, let's do them right now. It is to breathe out, feel a breath hunger to an intensity of 5 out of 10, and then breathe in again. Not everything, just a tiny bit. Breathe out. Then breathe in again, not just a tiny bit. Breathe out. Breathe in, breathe out. Breathe in, and you're in this zone of breath hunger, like tiny bit, and then you can go back to breathing normally, which you go up a bit more, and then you go, okay, that's the first exercise. Then the second exercise is going to be to breathe out and really feel a breath hunger to a 7 out of 10 intensity, and then you go. And then breathe normally. Okay? And all of these exercises are meant to be uncomfortable. They're generally meant to be uncomfortable and painful, man. Because that's how you reach the new level. That's how you improve your health. Just like going to the gym, you gotta reach discomfort. And to unclog your nose, you also do the pinch and shake method once again. And if you have anxiety, focus on your breath. So do the psychological side, which is, or do the breath hunger exercises, which will also help. And so just like that, we covered everything that it takes to take your breath, your breathing to the next level. And the perfect breath is 5 to 6 seconds inhale, 5 to 6 seconds exhale, without moving, without any contractions, none of that. And you do 6 breaths per minute, man. You can track that also. You can see how many breaths you're doing per minute right now, and in 1 week how much you get. And so go comment in the community, and let's stay accountable there. Text me on WhatsApp if you have any questions. If you want one-on-one help with these exercises, we can also run them on our weekly calls together, and we'll get to work, my man.